to the French Alps for Sham Jam 2002 in 35 minutes after Classic Cars.
Hello and welcome to Classic Cars. This week we're on the number 18 from Bournemouth as we join the historic commercial vehicle run. And there's plenty more classic motoring action coming up in the programme, so let's see what's happening over the next half hour. Today on Classic Cars we're travelling from Bournemouth to Bath. It's a real mobile museum. We bring you the car you always promised yourself as we profile the Ford Capri. In Classic Owner, we meet Roy Pine from Hayling Island, driving his 1961 Austin Healey.
I'm Simon Taylor, and I'll be here at the Rockingham Motor Speedway, where the old really will be meeting the brand new.
The Historic Commercial Vehicle Society's annual run from Bournemouth to Bath is now in its 30th year, and with over 50 vehicles taking part, spectators along the route will see an array of very unusual classic vehicles. Formed in 1958, the Society now has over 4,000 members, who between them own more than 7,500 vehicles. The interest in the preservation of commercial road vehicles is ever growing. Don, what's your sort of title in all the organisation of this event?
Today I'm the clerk of the course, which means I'm sort of in charge of the event, but I've got a lot of help, of course. But I'm actually the chairman of the society, the whole of the group.
Where do you think the interest comes from with commercial vehicles?
I think, in fact, if you look at the people who have got the vehicles, lots of them are associated in a way with their work and their business. And I think a lot of things like that help to make them sort of carry on and preserve the things. Other things that I think is just really an interest in old vehicles, because strangely enough, although some of them look quite new, they are quite old. Lorries and vans and trucks haven't changed that much over the year. You have to go a long way back before you start seeing a real change. And the other good thing about it is, which is very important, they are out on the road, so people can see them. So it's like a mobile museum, which is what we half claim to establish with the society.
It's time for the run to hit the road as we start our journey from Bournemouth to Bath via the halfway point in Shaftesbury. It'll be a slow drive for some of these vehicles whose top speed is less than 20 miles an hour. But it's a great chance for the owners to show off their pride and joy. Between them, these vehicles portray a living history of the commercial transport scene of days gone by. Well, we're halfway there, having travelled 40 miles from Bournemouth to Shaftesbury, and I think it's now time for a well-deserved break and a chance to catch up with some of the owners of these fantastic vehicles.
I found it on a farm in '92 and restored it over 6 years.
And did you do all of it yourself?
Yes, just about all of it. Yeah.
Did you have a lot of problems with the restoration, or did it run quite smoothly?
It ran okay. I had to put a new body on it, actually make the body to the original pattern. That was completely new. And the cab was taken off and completely refurbished, and the engine was rebuilt.
It's an Albion Model 24. Albions were built at Scotstoun near Glasgow. It was new to post office telephones in 1929. I've got three now. I've got another Albion that's a bit later than this one. That's a 1939. I've also got a 1926 Leyland. And they're nice. I find a lot of pleasure in them anyway.
Well, it spent all its life in Scarborough, and it became derelict about 20 odd years ago. more than 30 years ago. It stood for about 17 years in a scrapyard, and Bradford Council got hold of it and they restored it as a project for the apprentices.
How long did it take for the restoration?
2 years. 2,000 hours.
A lot of men working on it.
It was me and about 3 apprentices for a while, and then we just finished it off on its own.
Roland, we've seen this fantastic bus and been sat in it earlier. Can you tell me a bit more about it?
Yes, it was new to Hanson Dorset Motor Services in 1950 and one of a pair, and it was bodied locally in Portsmouth by Portsmouth Aviation, which makes it quite unusual because they didn't build many bus bodies. And for some reason this one survived. This one is fitted with an overdrive gearbox, which means that it will comfortably do 50 miles an hour, which is quite exciting because it's great at 50, except it's difficult trying to stop it.
Yeah, all of you had to stick your legs out the back and dig your heels in.
The parachute at the back, yeah.
For the second leg of the run, I pitched a ride on board David Jux's 1952 Austin K8 coach. Unused since the early 70s, this vehicle was rescued and restored to its former glory.
We did some research. There's only one other left like this. It's based up in Derbyshire. The bodybuilder's called Plaxton. They built 12 of these on an Austin chassis, which is Austin, and on another one called a Comma chassis. There's only 2 Austins left out of 12 built in the 50s. So it's just a pretty rare vehicle. And there it was, sitting at the back of this old garage, covered in dust and muck. Hadn't moved since 1971. This was November '87. And it took me about 3 months to negotiate a canny old man who owned it, he owned the coach company, to part with it. So I found it just by chance, really.
I'm very lucky then to have that. How long has it taken you to restore it?
6.5 years, 1988 through to its first rally was 1994. But no, it's pretty basic. It's based on a chassis that was built for an ambulance, an Austin ambulance, and it's got a better suspension than the van had. There's a van and ambulance. So those basic, it's pretty solid stuff.
So it's a slow but fascinating drive as we continue on to Bath in a real mobile museum. '69 saw the launch of the Ford Capri. The European equivalent of the American Mustang, it was inexpensive and sporty. There was no competition. The car you always promised yourself was an instant hit. Today's Capri owners are keen to remove the Essex Boy tag, as we found out when we met the members of the Newbury and Thatcham Capri Club.
Yeah, I've had 18 Capris altogether, of various ilk. I suppose I could thank my uncle for that. He absolutely despised them as I was growing up. I won't repeat what he called them, but I suppose it was fed into me so often that they were not the car to have that ultimately when I passed my test, the first car I got was a Capri, and I've really had them ever since. I love the shape of the Mark 1s. I really think the Mark 1s have really got a nice shape, and the swage line really sets them off. There's a lot of Capris out there driven by a lot of us old fogies now, I suppose, getting into our 30s and that really like the car for what it is. And hopefully we can get rid of that Essex Boy tag, and people will appreciate them for what they are. You know, they were always good cars, they are good cars, and really they need to be seen as classics in their own right.
The introduction of the Mark II gave a boost to sales. The new breed was larger, more spacious, and was a much smoother ride. But the market was changing rapidly, and cars were being used more as an essential rather than a luxury.
I think with a Capri, you either like them or you hate them, to be honest with you. There's a lot of people that, you know, if you say you've got a Capri, a lot of people think it's a bit of a weird car to own nowadays. But if you've owned them before in the past, I think that, you know, you'll always have Capris. I haven't owned one for a while, so when this one came up, it was mainly the condition of the car. It's only had 2 owners as well, so it's you know, it made it a little bit more special. So I just fancied having another one, really. I've always had Capri, so yeah, I would say that at one point or another in my life, this will probably go sooner or later, and I'll get another one. So yeah, I'll always have one.
1978 saw the emergence of the 3rd generation Capri. It was a sleeker, faster and safer car than previous models and is the best surviving of all Capris.
I own a Capri 2.8 injection special, and yes, my pride and joy. I've always had an interest in Capris. My father owned a Mark I Capri, so at 5 years old I decided to get interested in cars, and then with the professionals coming on to television in the late 70s, that was it. I was just an avid fan of full Capris. I thought, yeah, I'm having a Capri, that is a car for me. So at 19 years old I had my first Capri, which was a 2.8 injection, and I'm now on my third 2.8i. I think the Capri, it's just so unique in its styling. It's just got a, you know, it just stands out from the crowd. It's still a head turner now. Just love the lines of the car, the sound of that, you know, the V6 engine. Just a cracking car in my opinion, easy to maintain. So yeah, it just stands out from the crowd, and you know, it's still, like I say, it turns heads now.
Coming up after the break on Classic Cars, we meet Roy Pine from Hayling Island in his 1961 Austin Healey in Classic Owner. And motor racing expert Simon Taylor is at the newly opened Rockingham circuit for the Coys Historic Festival. See you in a few minutes.
Mum, can I have a biscuit?
Yes, but just one.
Mum, can I go round Tim's?
Yes, but don't be too long.
Come on. Mum, can I go on AOL?
Yes.
Our built-in parental control filters mean you can set and easily choose what your children see on AOL and the internet, making them safer. Try AOL for 100 hours completely free. Call 0800 237 237.
Unseen germs can cause serious food poisoning. Always wash your hands when handling food.
At their age, you never give your heart a thought. But these days, I know I need to take care of my heart as well. So I eat shredded wheat, because shredded wheat's made from whole grain and nothing else. And scientists increasingly believe that whole grain cereals could help keep your heart healthy. In fact, shredded wheat's perfect for the young at heart.
And now you can grow your own beautiful blooms this summer with free seeds in boxes of Bite Size and other shredded wheat cereals.
Branston on the brain.
Bring out the Branston!
Introducing new Branston Smooth. It's Branston with smoothed out chunky bits for chips to dips and flat sandwiches.
Come on, girls, we're supposed to be travelling light.
Oh, you're not taking a razor on safari?
Absolutely. 3 weeks without shaving? I don't think so.
I can tell you haven't heard of Imac Warmax with Aquasystem. It's fantastic. All you need is hot tap water and it's ready in 3 minutes. With a convenient roll-on, it's so easy to apply. And the results last up to 3 weeks.
I can't believe it. 3 weeks without shaving once.
You're not the only one. Imac Warmax with Aquasystem. Smooth legs for up to 3 weeks. Now with extracts of cotton flower or green tea.
Andrex. It's so soft and thick that you can see the difference. It's thick, it's soft, it's Andrex.
Strength! There's a great white! We're over there beside the great reds.
Tesco. Every little helps.
Every year in the UK, up to 4.5 million people suffer from food poisoning. caused by unseen germs. You are watching how easily these germs are spread. You can stop these germs spreading simply by washing your hands. Keep your kitchen and your business safe. For more information, call 0845 608 6089 or visit our website.
Welcome back. Now it's time for the part of the programme where your car is the star in Classic Owner.
It's a 1962 Austin Healey 3000 Mark II, and I've had it about 6 years. And it's got a 3-litre straight-six engine. Mark 1s were originally 104s, a 4-litre engine, and they're quite lusty, but it was always the big Healeys that were the rally cars, and it was a rally Healey that I wanted. Not that I'm much of a rallier, but I always wanted a big Healey. The very first time I went to see the car, the chap took me for a drive down the road and let me drive back, and that was it. I couldn't wait to get my money out of my pocket. It was a running wreck. It was taxed, MOT'd, and it drove well, but it was very tatty. So the first thing I did was take it off the road and spend 2 winters really getting it up to the condition you see it in now. Mechanically, it was pretty sound. It was just the bodywork and the interior that was rough. I was brought up in Langston, and we lived in an unmade road, and at the end of the road there lived an old boy who ran a garage in Portsmouth. And then as a lad of 6 or 7, every morning he'd growl off to work in his Healey, and every evening he'd growl back. And this was about the time when the Morley brothers were winning rallies in the Healeys, and I thought that one day I'd like to own a Healey, and it's taken till now to do it, but at least I've done it. And everything is fixable, you know, no electronic chips which are going to sort of write the car off. You can pretty much fix anything. If you can't do it yourself, if you have a friendly garage, I'm sure he'll fix it for you. I think it's more practical than having a modern sports car. Amazingly, you can get virtually every part. And sometimes I take it into the garage to have something fixed, and they tell me I need a bit, I ring up, and it's there the next day. It's almost better than a modern car. It's the original colour scheme. It's ice blue over Old English white, and it is an original Healey colour scheme. It's been resprayed, of course, but those pretty colours are what it would have looked like back in 1962. Well, I don't race it, but it is there to be used. It may be an old car, but I'd rather be driving it than polishing it, so that's for sure. I don't mind getting it wet, dirty, or anything. If it's a fine day in winter, I'll take it out and use it. And of course I've just done the Monte Carlo rally through the ice and snow in France, so that proves I don't mind getting it wet and dirty. In those days it was a powerful car at a time when a lot of cars had small engines. They had the advantage of a service crew. They didn't have to carry their spares and luggage, and when we went we had to carry all our own spares and luggage, and we were pretty cramped in there, I must say. I just like classics. I guess it's a childhood thing. You know, you own in middle age the car you couldn't afford when you were a lad. And I was driving Allegros and Marinas and Minis when I was a lad, so have to wait till you can afford it. I'd rather sell all the modern stuff, you know, if I had to, and just be left with this car. I like it, and I think I can keep it going for another 39 years. That's how old the car is.
In 1907, Brooklands was opened as the world's first purpose-built motor racing circuit, and with its high-speed banked corners, it was an immediate success. Today, America has its oval superspeedways, but there have been no banked motor racing tracks in Britain until today. This is the Rockingham Motor Speedway. 4 years in the making, 200 acres, and today, the Coys Historic Festival is its first public event.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round.
As a historic meeting, this inaugural weekend attracted a superb turnout of every type of yesterday's racing cars. and in recognition of Rockingham's oval layout, they came not just from Britain and mainland Europe, but also from North America. Oval racing is huge over there, and former IndyCar champion Nigel Mansell knows all about the American oval atmosphere. For the opening ceremony, he came briefly out of retirement to set a new outright lap record. And like many other people at Rockingham this weekend, he was optimistic about the future success of the track.
I think the potential here is just enormous, it's terrific. And I think the incredible thing is the British public have got no idea what to expect. And I think coming here and seeing this facility, and I think the Americans coming over here and seeing this facility, they'll be very impressed.
In the paddock, the public could compare the best of European and American competition machinery running on the oval and on the twisty infield. Tom Malloy came all the way from Southern California to race his 60s Rodson Roadster. It's led an exciting life.
Outside of not being a winner, it's probably one of the best pedigreed Rodson Roadsters there is. It raced 4 years, 1962 through 65. 3 years is the Bill Forbes Special. The last year is the Weinberger Holmes. And it never finished worse than 11th. It got the flag all 4 years. I mean, it's a thoroughbred.
It's wonderful that it's not in a museum and that you are really exercising it the way it was built to run.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I agree with the fact that I hate to see, I mean, I love to see them in museums because people get to see them, but I'm torn. I'm ambivalent about it because I'm one of these people who want rock chips on it and go out and race it. And so, yeah, I agree with you that it's nice to keep them out.
Of course, the American cars weren't the only pedigree racers in action. The British historic contingent were keen to explore the new track with their cars. Among the historic single-seaters doing battle was the ex-Bruce McLaren, ex-Jack Brabham Cooper Climax, owned by Lymington-based Rod Jolly. How sensible is it to risk this priceless piece of motor racing heritage on the tricky new track?
I think they think the historic drivers are totally mad, otherwise they wouldn't do it. But I have mixed feelings about the track, to be honest. I think it's very, very hard on the cars and hard on the old fogey drivers like me. But overall, I'm enjoying it enormously.
Rockingham is a unique mix of banked oval and then the dive into the twisty infield. And everybody is driving on the limit. But it seems to me that historic racing, it's very cheerful, it has a very laid-back atmosphere, but on the track, you guys are very serious about your racing.
Well, you know, the red mist and all that, I mean, when that flag drops, yes, we all go out there saying, oh, you know, we're going to take it easy, we did exactly that yesterday. This is a very unforgiving circuit, you can't afford to fall off anywhere. And we all said, oh yes, it's survival, 7/10. The green light went on and flat out.
And flat out means going very close to that concrete wall.
Well, that's what they're for. You know, a car like this is very original, but I don't want to put it in a glass case. I want to use it. That's what it was built for. And unless it's being used and raced properly, it's not alive. Cars in museums are dead for me.
From Jack Brabham's Cooper to the 250F Maserati, as raced by the great Juan Manuel Fangio and Sterling Moss. By 1956 standards, this was one of the best handling Grand Prix cars of its day. But 45 years on, it's still a handful for its owner, Wimborne-based Alan Miles. What is the magic about racing a car that is over 40 years old?
Oh, it's really the excitement and the thrill of running cars which were obviously originally Grand Prix cars and much more difficult to drive than some of the more modern cars. It's very hard work and very exhilarating. Nice to be able to use something that some of the stars and heroes that we all admire.
Now this is obviously a tremendously valuable piece of machinery. Does that mean that when you race it, there's a little voice in the back of your mind making cash register noises and trying to tell you not to bend it?
No, we actually try and race it to win all the time and flat out. I mean, they are racing cars, they were built to race. We work on the theory that, you know, they bent them and mended them at the time and we can do the same now. So we tend to think that the cars ought to be out on the circuit and racing as fast as they possibly can.
Of course, I wanted to sample the oval for myself, and as this is a US-style track, I decided to thumb a lift in one of the mighty NASCAR sedans. This is American racing in the raw, Days of Thunder style, although I have to admit, I've always been a bit of a nervous passenger. I've always wanted to climb out of a car like that, but it should be the other side, and I should be covered with dirt and oil, having just won a 500-mile NASCAR race. But even 2 or 3 laps in anger is a tremendous experience. You really feel the G-forces as you go round the banking. And of course, the other thing is, they lent me a crash helmet, they didn't lend me the earplugs, and I'm completely deaf.
Join us next week on Classic Cars when we're in Kent at the War and Peace Show, learning how to handle a 20-ton metal monster. We're celebrating one of the most powerful icons from the world's most famous conflict as the Jeep turns 60. In Classic Owner, we meet Roy and Liz Halsall from Salisbury, driving their 1941 Chevrolet Suburban. And motor racing expert Simon Taylor will be witnessing an historic return of the auto unions to the Donington circuit.
Well, that's all we've got time for today on Classic Cars. We'll see you next week.